You know a lot about golf.
Well, we're waiting.
And lo and behold, it is time for us, those Weekend Golf Guys. I am John Ashton in the studio. He is Jeff Smith, the Golf Cave at Timbergate Golf Course, Edinburgh, Indiana.
Where I am today, baby.
It's a nice place to be, man. Just up the road from Seymour, just down the road from Indianapolis.
Yes, sir.
Straight shot up I-65. It's a beautiful place.
But a lot of golfers out here today. Beautiful golf course. Beautiful day to play.
Oh, yeah.
Parking lot is packed.
Yep.
Everybody's happy.
You know, golf rounds have been up substantially. And again, because of the depression that most of us have felt because of this COVID-19 thing, or maybe the depression you went through our Louisiana and friends in a direct line north of there with the tropical depression last week. You didn't get out as often as you wanted to, but it's tough to get a tee time, man. It really is.
It is.
Nobody's working.
There's a lot of places are busy.
Yeah. And they've also cut back on the number of tee times. That's one of the reasons why it's harder to get them, because you are now using twice as many carts for a foursome as you used to. So they're doing half as many rounds for the most part. But still, it's tough to get out there. So a lot of us are making times way in advance, which is nice.
And some of these places, they're doing some procedures, to make it easier for golfers to ride two in a cart. Got these little dividers,
Yeah.
down the thing. You know what I found out? They're doing that here at Timbergate. You know what I found out?
What?
Makes it hot. There's no air blowing through the cart now.
That's right.
It's got a piece of plexiglass in between you.
Cuts down on the circulation.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, driving around with a sneeze guard.
Yeah, that's almost enough to make you want to walk. Almost.
I was going to say, wait a second. What you talk about?
Yeah. Okay.
I can't believe you said that.
Last week we talked about distance, and the big lie that most golfers tell is how far they hit the ball, because you don't.
Yeah.
You don't hit anywhere that close. We have heard a few things in the ensuing time since that episode came out that lead us to believe that it's more of a problem than we have initially alluded to. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about some distance, how to get more, how to actually come to grips with the distance you get, and a few lessons that I've learned recently that, I don't know, I'll either teach you something new or you look at me and you go, really?
I think we all know what it's going to be.
Have you had your head in the sand, John? So there you go. Stick with us. A great hour of golf talk is coming up with those Weekend Golf Guys. Do not move. The PGA Tour is back. We have a full weekend of golf ahead of us. And even though the trophy is reserved for the winner, there's some big cash prizes that don't go just to players. They can go to you. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy game of the PGA Tour, has added to the excitement by putting you in the center of the action with a free shot at a $1 million top prize with your first deposit. It's easy to play. All you do is pick 6 golfers, stay under the salary cap, submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday, then you sit back and follow the action. You're going to get points for pars, for birdies, for finishing position, and a whole lot more. And remember, $1 million up for grabs at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app right now. Use the promo code WEEKEND to get a free shot at the $1 million top prize with your first deposit. Promo code is WEEKEND. Free shot at $1 million with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Deposit bonus requires a 25x playthrough. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. We are those Weekend Golf Guys. Thanks for hanging with us. I'm John Ashton. He is Jeff Smith. You know who you are, hopefully. And we've been talking, past couple episodes about mistakes golfers make, big mistakes. One of them is misunderstanding how far we actually hit the ball on a regular basis.
Misunderstanding?
I'm giving them the
That's benefit. A good one.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt, man.
That is a big benefit, dude. Let's just say it like it is. They don't know,
or they lie. Big time.
They don't have any idea how far they don't hit the ball.
Yeah. Now I saw a chart this past week that some guy had done, because the PGA Tour has all of these extensive records kept on how far everybody hits everything. You know, and they can tell you that, Rory hit his 7-iron 172 yards, but he did it on a sunny day when the temperature was 83, and then he did it again on a cloudy day when the temperature was 43, and the distances were different, and they've got all of that plotted out. So some guy who has nothing better to do, he must have been real bored during this whole quarantine thing, because he sat down and started playing math.
He might not have anything better to do. They may be paying him to do that. Well, that may be his gig.
I don't think you can pay you enough money to play with math, man. I'm sorry, but
I don't know. There's a lot of math dudes out there that think otherwise.
Well, that's true. But he extrapolated all of those details and was able to predict, based on the average swing speed, the average carry and total distances of every club in your bag.
Yeah, but averages, come on. You need standard deviations to go along with that to be predictable.
Okay. You know more standard deviants than I do, so I'll defer to you on that one.
Suggesting I'm a deviant? Is that what's going on here?
Suggesting no, sir. No.
All right, so let's think about this. I hit 5 shots with a 7-iron.
Mm-hmm.
The first one goes 150 yards. Second one, 150. Third one, 150. Fourth one, 150. Fifth one, 150. What's my average?
150.
Okay. What's my standard deviation?
0.
Okay. What if I hit 5 shots? 2 of them go 140, 2 of them go 150, and 1 of them goes 160, and 1 of them goes 150. What's my average?
I don't know.
150, 2 at 140, 2 at 160, and 1 at 150.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
My average over those 5 shots is still 150.
It is.
What's my standard deviation?
20.
10 each way, right?
Yeah, that's 20. 10 each way. Minus and plus. Yeah. Give
okay.
Or take.
So which one am I more clear about what's about to happen?
The first one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How realistic is that?
Slim to none.
They all
probability
go the same distance each time.
Well, if they all go the same distance each time, they probably all will go the same distance each time.
You're human. So am I. So is everybody else who's playing this game. You think it's really going to happen that way?
Not anybody who hits 5 7-irons 150 yards in a row. No, they're not. I'm sorry.
So the point is that you got to find out what's the range of what's most likely going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You might average 150, but you're probably going to vary 10 yards each way.
Yeah.
See what I'm getting at?
But again, that's why they call them average.
Yeah.
I mean, half the shots you're going to hit are below average, no matter what your average is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other half are going to be above average.
And it's also not an average carry distance. It's also the approximate carry distance. Okay. This is how far it should go and or could go, all things being equal, based on swing
Welcome
speed.
to Those Weekend Math Guys show.
Basically, it just says
we're not good at it.
The swing speed and the loft of your club should give you about this much yardage. That's the chart. That's all. Don't yell at me. I didn't make it up. I'm just reading it. Okay.
Sure.
But with a swing speed of 80, which I think between 80 and 90 is probably average for most of the amateur golfers of, let's say, 40 years and up, maybe. Would you agree?
All right. I'm with you on this.
Okay. So
you got a chart in front of you.
I'm
not allowed to argue with you now. You're reading a chart.
Well, the chart doesn't have anything about ages. It just says about swing speed. I just made that swing speed piece of data up. So just wondering if you agree with me or not.
Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, swing speed. How fast do you think the average swing speed is of a golfer 45 years old?
It's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell. It depends on how much in shape they are and how much they take into consideration and how much important golf is to them. But
I'm glad you made that up.
Yes, indeed. At 80 miles an hour.
Me making it up.
At 80 miles,
it up and you're wrong. It's not.
Oh, shut up! At 80 miles an hour swing speed, a 7-iron should go approximately 123 yards. At 90 miles an hour, it should go approximately 138 yards. With a swing speed of 100 miles an hour, it should go about 154 yards. Now, most of us have that magic number 150 in our head with a 7-iron. But how many of us actually swing at 100 miles an hour or above?
There's a lot of people not swinging 100 miles an hour with a driver.
Right.
You're talking about doing it with a 7-iron?
Yeah.
I don't think that's average for a lot of people except tour players.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, the average tour player speed is what, 112, 113, somewhere in there?
Yeah. The driver, no, they're 116, 117 for.
Okay. But still,
there for that. Yeah.
The point is, most of us look at a 7-iron and go, oh, it's 150 yards. I'm going to hit my 7-iron. But unless you have a swing speed of 100 miles an hour, you're not going to get close to 150 yards with a 7-iron. That's my point.
I'm listening.
Okay. You're the teacher. You're the one that should have told me that long ago. Wait a minute. I think you did.
Wait. I was going to say, I think all we got to do is go check the records on the show. Is this where we go back and say the archives are online on thoseweekendgolfguys.com?
Roll that magical golf footage. Yeah.
You can go back and listen to every show and you'll hear better charts than this one.
The point is, many of us, even those who aren't braggadocious about it, those who aren't trying to feed an ego, those of us who are even realistic about how far we hit a club, may not have realistic expectations based on our swing speed. That's what I'm saying.
And you just whittled down the golf population with that comment, didn't you?
There'll be a large increase in people playing tennis next week, I'm sure.
So tell me something.
Okay.
In this thing that golfers do, right? They're all making this mistake of they think they hit it a lot further than they actually do.
Mm-hmm.
They're also not good at adjusting, like what you just gave a great example of, right? There's times when Rory hits his 7-iron farther than other times.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are lousy at adapting to situations. For example, I'm looking right outside the window here at the golf cave.
Mm-hmm.
The bushes are blowing. The trees are moving. Can't see it, but the flags are whapping on the golf course.
Uh-huh.
Can't see it, but it's there.
Can feel it.
Yeah.
Can, but
so if you're going across it or into it or down it, you've got to adapt to that wind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Golfers aren't so good at that.
No,
They'll sit there and take I'm at this yardage and therefore it's this club and I'm going to go. And why'd that come up 30 yards short? Might be because you're playing into the wind.
One thing that you mentioned to me a couple of years ago that has helped immensely.
I can't believe you're saying you remembered something like that.
Yeah, well, it's, sometimes I maintain some things, retain some things that are quite important to me. But the wind, we oftentimes sit on the ground, stand on the ground, addressing the ball, feel a little bit of wind, because it's nothing to take into consideration. Not realizing that if we were to look up and notice the top of the trees lining this fairway that we're on, that the wind seems to be blowing substantially harder up there than it is down here. For reasons, basically, those trees are blocking it. But you know that if you hit your ball correctly, it is going to wind up there and thus be affected more severely by the wind up there that you can't feel while you're down here.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm glad I made that point a few years ago, and I'm really glad you paid attention to it.
One of the reasons why we kept you around.
Isn't that nice?
It is nice.
Thought it was other reasons, but that's okay.
So
I'll just add that to the list.
So making adaptations or adaptations or adapting, however you want to look at it, to the conditions around you that will add or detract from the yardage you are about to get from that club you're about to hit is things we need to delve into. Again, more mistakes golfers make. Don't. We'll learn about them when we come right back. Hey, do me a favor while you're thinking about it right now. Why don't you go to thebusinessgolfcourse.com, okay? What we're going to be doing, Jeff and I together, we'll be doing a one-day seminars on how to use golf effectively for business. We're going to concentrate on charity golf scrambles because you know there are many of them. I'm sure if you have a business, you've probably bought a sponsorship and put a team in one or two of them. Thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Chronic pain is the worst. It's worse than just discomfort because it affects your entire life. You can't get comfortable. You probably have some trouble sleeping, or you don't want to exercise, or you don't want to walk around. It's been ongoing for a few weeks and it hasn't improved with any of the stuff you've tried. What are you going to do? You just don't sit on the couch and give up. You try a thing called Omax Health Cryo Freeze CBD Roll-On. It's great. It's non-prescription. Triple action pain relief roll-on specifically formulated to block all pain receptors, to reduce inflammation, and to improve muscle and joint flexibility. And the best part is it's 100% natural. CBD-powered remedy works its magic within 10 minutes, and the relief can last up to 8 hours. Take it from me. I know my knees stink. They're bad. I play golf, and by about the 11th or 12th hole, it's hurting to walk. Put a little of that on. By 18, I'm fine, man. I am fine, and I don't come home all achy and painy as I used to. You got to try it. I can help you try it. Omax Health is offering all of our listeners 20% off a full bottle of CryoFreeze CBD Pain Relief Roll-On. Plus, they'll ship it to you for free. And this discount also applies toward any other product site-wide, and they've got a lot of great stuff. Check them out. omaxhealth.com. Go there today and enter the code WEEKEND. That's omaxhealth.com, and enter the code WEEKEND, and you will get 20% off CryoFreeze and anything else site-wide. Kyle Stanley uses it when he plays golf and for other stuff, too. And look at 95% of the 5-star reviews. They've got page after page after page of customers saying, this stuff works. So you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe them. Get a bottle and try it for yourself. You can believe yourself, okay? omaxhealth.com. Enter the code WEEKEND. Get 20% off or anything site-wide. omaxhealth.com. Go there now. Enter the code WEEKEND. You'll thank me for it later. Of course, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/golf guys. We would love it if you were to go there and like us. We'd love it even more if you'd go there and follow us. And you want to make us real happy, just go there and interact with us. Facebook.com/golf guys. All right, we are here, those weekend golf guys. John Ashton, Jeff Smith, you, Motley Crue, if there ever was one. But we are here and talking about mistakes golfers make, adaptations that we refuse to make or don't think to make that are going to affect severely the results we get on a shot that may or may not be credibly conceived to begin with.
Yeah.
You know?
So as we talk about shots and people, you know, not more the mistakes they make, they're not even paying attention to the shots. Like they hit it, and you even said it earlier, I hit a shot I don't like. I don't even pay attention to it. I dismiss it. I'm not even looking at it.
Yeah. So therefore,
you know,
I have
that makes
no
everybody
idea.
else mad because then they have to find your golf ball.
That's right. I have no idea where it went.
Yeah.
The good news is that the guys I play with love to make fun of me so that they pay strict attention to every bad shot I hit and remember
the funny
them all.
part is that interestingly enough, they always seem to find your golf ball and pocket it and go, I don't know, John.
Pay attention next time, John.
Right. Well, they found out that you're getting, you know, free golf balls to play with. And so they're like, well, I guess that I need to be part of that too.
Share the wealth, buddy. We do that. We hit a bad shot, and you know you're going to hit a bad. You're going to. You know you have hit a bad shot the second you hit the shot.
You do. It's terrible.
And a lot of times
right
we just get so disgusted. We throw down our club. We swear. We look away. We berate ourselves, and then we go, oh, man, I paid $4 for that ball, and I like that ball, and I just took it out of the package, one hole ago. Come on. I haven't even had to wash it yet, and now it's gone.
You know, that goes right to the question that I get asked by a lot of golfers is, what kind of golf ball should I play?
Mm-hmm.
One of the first questions I ask is, how many golf balls do you lose during a round of golf?
Yeah.
They're like, well, what's that got to do with it? I'm like, well, what if you always hit it straight up the middle and never lost a ball? I would instantly start telling you to play a better golf ball, because if you're not going to lose them, at least get one that acts well around the greens and feels good off the putter and the wedge.
Right. Yeah.
I would instantly say that because your game's better. You know, if the first thing you ask me is that, and I ask you that question, you go, man, I lose 6, 7, 8 balls around. I'm like, well, then let's go with the cheapies.
Yeah. Do yourself
so we
a
get
favor.
this thing straightened out.
That's right. And buy cheap golf balls and spend the difference on lessons.
Yeah. Realistically, that's a pretty decent barometer for the average guy is save the money on golf balls and go find somebody who can get you to hit straight.
I'm happy to say the last 3 rounds, aggregate total of lost balls, 0.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that a net 0?
No, it's
okay.
It's because I don't like finding balls because I don't trust them. I don't know how long they've been there.
They've already
proven that
misbehaved
they don't.
once.
They already proven they don't know how to go straight to begin with. So why
I don't trust you?
Why bother?
This ball's clearly lopsided. We did a DEXA scan on these golf balls, and the cores are all off center.
Plus, thanks to you, again, I have really narrowed my golf ball choices down. You will find not a veritable plethora of golf ball industry representatives when you go through the golf bag I have. It's very exclusive as far as name, brand, and model go.
Wow.
Because I found one that works well for me, and I'm sticking with it. And now they're available in yellow, which I really enjoy.
Oh, good.
So there you go.
Good. I'm kind of warming up to the yellow ball. Not during dandelion season, though. I think that's a bad idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, if you hit it in fairway, you don't have to worry.
Well,
Would you like me to
there's
give you
truth in
some pointers on how to do that, Jeff?
well, we're working on that, right? We're working on that.
Exactly. I like it because everybody else plays white, so you don't have to walk up and check your ball. Walk up tentatively and go, "What? This is not the farthest drive. Is this me? Am I going to be embarrassed by being the short guy?" No. You see the yellow ball and you know it's you. And you can just pass up all those guys to the white balls and go on. So there.
And sometimes you got to be careful at the golf course you play, because if the range, if the golf course has yellow range balls, then they start looking at you like you're playing range balls.
Yeah.
John, we don't do that here. Okay. This is more than a $30 golf course.
That's right.
We don't play with range balls here.
Pretend you got some class,
Yeah, exactly. So carry some white ones with you, will you?
Right, just in case. Just in case. One thing, too, I wanted to point out, we were talking about distance in this chart. The guy who put the chart together also mentioned something that I'm going to admit I didn't know. What's that? Golf clubs are manufactured with a much stronger loft today than they were about 10 years ago.
Wait.
Meaning
you're just finding that out now?
Well, yeah, I don't measure loft. I have this inherent trust in people.
Okay.
And if someone tells me a 7-iron is this loft, I believe it, whether it was made in 2008 or 2020.
So I'll be kind here.
Well, that's a switch.
I know. This is a new novel concept for me right now, John.
Okay.
Back in the day, there were advertisements that said, "My 5-iron hits it farther than your 5-iron."
Right, exactly. But it was
because they juiced their lofts, and everybody knew it.
But they never said it was that. The marketing never said it was because we adjusted our loft. No, they said it's for that magical wedge in the middle of the club face that makes it go farther. The trampoline effect has been substantially increased due to the R over 17 divided by pi, and you just wouldn't understand the math, son, so just take my word for it.
Okay. So let me go about this in a different manner.
Okay.
We have a lot of listeners all over the country, and they're golfers.
Yeah.
All of them are scratching their heads going, "Were you born last night?" Because they all know it. They all know it.
Well, how do you know it? Unless you measure loft on a daily basis, how do you know it?
Here's in talking to any golf professional ever and actually paying attention to them about golf clubs. It's unbelievable. Right now, 3 companies have got clubs out that are a full club stronger than they were a year ago. A full club longer.
Now, you're a golf pro,
year ago,
and you fit clubs, and you know what the lofts are, and you keep track of that. I haven't the slightest idea. I can tell you the loft of my driver because it says so right on the back of it, 10.5. I can tell you the loft of my wedges because it says so right on the face of them, 52, 56, and 60. Okay. Other than that, I defy anybody who's not in the business of golf to tell me, to reel off what are the lofts of your clubs. What's the loft of a 6-iron?
Oh boy. You're going to have a lot. Okay. So everybody out there, I want you to put this out on our Facebook page, those Weekend Golf Guys Facebook page, okay?
Which is
Facebook.com
Facebook.com/golf guys, right? Facebook.com/golf guys.
We're going to put this out there. If you're listening to the show right now, we're going to put this out there as a question, and we're going to have a lot of people come in, and the question is going to be this simple. Do you know that the lofts of clubs in yesteryear are not as strong as the ones are on the same number of iron today? Is that a safe enough question?
Oh, that's a safe question. It's a very easy question. The question
is a very easy question.
Without measuring it, what's the loft of your 6-iron?
Yeah.
Your 6-iron, the one you have in your bag now. What is the loft? Don't measure it. Just tell me.
34 degrees.
Okay. How do you know that?
Because it's been measured.
Okay.
There's specs all over the internet if you really cared to. John,
Well,
you can go to your set
specs,
right now.
Schmecks. Who cares?
Ping's Rapture irons.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go look on the internet right now today and pull up a chart because you're clearly Mr. Chart today. You could pull up a chart that told you what those lofts are right now. But the truth is that pretty much every golfer understands, for some reason, this has escaped you. I guarantee you that intrepid producer Mark, it has not escaped him. Everybody who buys new clubs, which you haven't done in the last eon,
that's true,
that understands that these new clubs are going to hit it farther than their old clubs because they're at least a full club stronger, at least, than the ones they had 5 years ago.
Okay,
and I already mentioned there's some companies out there that have done that this year that made it a full club stronger than the ones they made last year.
So eventually we keep this up. It's like all the money you save on auto insurance. If you just keep changing companies every couple of months, eventually you're going to get your auto insurance for free.
So, it's a good idea. We should try that.
But so what you're telling me is that my 7-iron eventually could be lofted like my 4-iron used to be 20 years ago?
We're creeping up on it.
I mean, that just sounds stupid to me.
We're creeping up on it. Here's the thing. The technology has been made so that they've got the ability to put more weight below the center of mass of the golf ball at the strike, launching the ball higher.
Right.
And in order for that thing not to balloon up into the air, they crank the loft down a little bit.
They have to de-loft it a bit, yeah.
So now all of a sudden, that same launch of, say, a 7-iron can be done with the loft of your old 4-iron.
Yeah. However, in my defense, I am going to insist that in none of the golf club advertising that touts these clubs hit it longer than any club you've ever had, they do say, hey, we've added more weight below the perimeter. We've got it goes farther that way, but they never say because we've also de-lofted it. They never say that.
Right. They don't say that in the advertising because marketing isn't all about details. It's about the effect.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And
so
I'm just
you probably
looking
ought
for
to delve into the details. You've got a radio show for 7 years. We talk about golf all the time.
Uh-huh.
And you're now just coming to this discovery. So you were today years old when you learned that.
And I'd be willing to tell you that there are a lot of other people who are today years old when they learned that. I'm sure because most of us don't care, Jeff. We don't care. Just hit it. Don't tell me how it works. Just tell me that it does. That's all I need to know. We'll be right back. Hang with us. We are those weekend golf guys. If you want to be poised to make money, to get right back into the swing of things with your business as soon as this COVID-19 quarantine thing is over, go right now, thebusinessgolfcourse.com. That's it. I'm not going to explain any more. Just do it. Thebusinessgolfcourse.com. The PGA Tour is back. We have a full weekend of golf ahead of us. And even though the trophy is reserved for the winner, there's some big cash prizes that don't go just to players. They can go to you. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy game of the PGA Tour, has added to the excitement by putting you in the center of the action with a free shot at a $1 million top prize with your first deposit. It's easy to play. All you do is pick 6 golfers, stay under the salary cap, submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday, then you sit back and follow the action. You're going to get points for pars, for birdies, for finishing position, and a whole lot more. And remember, $1 million up for grabs at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app right now. Use the promo code WEEKEND to get a free shot at the $1 million top prize with your first deposit. Promo code is WEEKEND. Free shot at $1 million with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Deposit bonus requires a 25x playthrough. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. For the past 90 days during this social distancing time and this quarantine time for the whole COVID-19 thing, we've been doing business in different ways, business from home. I do hope a lot of you have taken this opportunity to do business on the golf course. You should play golf not just with friends, but with business associates, customers, and prospects. There's a way to do it right, there's a way to do it wrong, and there's a group, an absolutely free group on Facebook designed for all of us who like to play golf for a business to get together and compare notes, learn things, swap tips, etc. Facebook.com/thebusinessgolfcourse. It's a Back Nine Advisory Board is the name of the group. Go there and find it at Facebook.com/thebusinessgolfcourse. Business golf is a different type of golf, but it's going to do amazing things for your return on investment if you do it right. Facebook.com/The Business Golf Course. You need to go there and join this free group and do it right now. Facebook.com, The Business Golf Course. And we're back, those weekend golf guys. I'm John Ashton. It's Jeff Smith. I still can't get over that, man. The loft changes, man.
You know what? It's unreal. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have to turn in your golfer card.
Okay, yeah. Well, listen, I did some checking not on lofts because I thought lofts were like, carved in stone. Because I thought what made a 7-iron was the loft. Not just that it was the one that
the
they
number
put
on the
in,
bottom.
They put in between the 6 and the 8. But now you're right. It is just the number they put on the bottom. I'm with you now. But the Ping Rapture clubs, which I have and have played for the last 10 years, are great clubs. I love them. They're 12 years old.
Yeah, they were uber strong compared to every other club on the market at the time.
Yeah. So what you're saying is
puts them in the realm of today's clubs.
If I upgrade these clubs, which have served me very well, improved my striking ability the moment I got them, is there going to be a noticeable change now? But you just said that they were very strong for their day, so
they were, yes.
So they're comparable to what I could get now. Because I asked it.
Oh, they're in the realm, yes.
A couple of years ago at the PGA show, I asked the guys at Ping. I said, "You got anything better?" And they went, "Not really."
No. Yeah, no.
So okay.
They made a great set of clubs there, and just like every new thing, they have to come up with another new thing, and
right.
That doesn't mean that they didn't do a great job of engineering, because they had engineers with a goal in mind then, and they have engineers with the same goal in mind now, is produce the best ones that they can produce. But back then there was fewer patents they had to worry about. Other companies do things and they have a patent on it, and so no one else can infringe upon said patents. Yeah. So they have to get around an awful lot of things they would do.
And at that time too, they weren't concerned about Billy Bob Smith making golf clubs in his garage and selling them to people that may or may not conform to the same, let's say, set of standards that everybody else is using. All right, more mistakes. We alluded to, and now we can get back to, now that I have been severely chastised for not paying attention. But we don't pay attention to our surroundings many times. Played golf last week a couple times, and I remember hitting a shot that pulled badly to the left. It came as a surprise. I used to do that all the time, but after working with you, I don't do that all the time. But then I realized, man, I was on a severe slope. That ball was above my feet big time. I should have expected it to go that way. And I forgot to take that into consideration.
So let's talk about that ball above your feet thing.
Okay.
Right? And what does that mean? You're standing on a slope, and the slope out in front of your body is higher. So the ball's sitting and it's above, it's no longer level.
Right.
Now, let's say you've got a wedge in your hand. John, I want you to do this. I want everybody at home to listen to this. I want you to put your hand out in front of you.
Uh-huh.
Palm facing the target, straight up and down, with effectively zero loft of the palm of your hand.
Right.
And now raise it up in the air, up, like pivot your elbow so your arm moves straight up vertically.
Uh-huh.
Note that the palm of the hand stays in the same place, still facing the target.
Right.
Okay, put it back down to straight, arm straight out in front of you.
Okay.
Now tilt your hand back as if it was a wedge and had lots of loft.
Okay.
Okay. And now pivot your elbow up in the air so your hand goes up. And now look at where the palm of your hand is now facing.
Whoa.
Hard left, isn't it?
Substantially lefter. Yes, sir.
Yes. Substantially lefter. Way lefter is a fact of the matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's understand, if the ball is above your feet and you have a high lofted club in your hands, you really need to adjust for that. So my suggestion, strong suggestion, John, you may want to write this down.
Oh, I'm hanging on your every word, sir.
Step 1, put the club on the ground, which is on the slope, on the ground behind the golf ball, and put the face angled to where you want your ball to start flying. That's step 1. Mm-hmm. Don't grip it. Don't grip it now.
Right.
Step 2, set up over your ball so you're 100% in perfect alignment to that direction, and that you're in perfect balance. You're in your golf stance. The hill is not forcing you back onto your heels, right?
Right.
You're in perfect balance. You still have not gripped it at this point. Step 3, let your arms hang down naturally. Don't reach out for your club. Get close enough that your arms can just hang down naturally, and then put your hands on the club. Now swing, and your ball will immediately fly off in the direction that the club face was pointed right then. Okay?
Cool.
At your target. The key here is don't reach out. Because as soon as you reach out, your arms are extended from you. You're standing way down the slope, and now all of a sudden the swing is a whole lot flatter, so to speak. And then you're swinging around yourself, and now all of a sudden that club is going to be moving around your body, and it's not going to be moving as up to down, and the club face will now angle further left, or in your vocabulary, lefter.
Lefter. Much more lefter.
Much more lefter. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Step 1's pretty important. Yeah. Don't grip it until you have to. Okay.
And that's another mistake I think we make is we put our hands on the grip of the club, we grip it, and then we start to make adjustments, which may or may not work because our grip may be wrong to begin with.
Right. So just keep in mind, the ball leaps off the face the way the face is angled. And if it's a high lofted club and the ball's above your feet, if you think for a second that you don't have to make an adjustment first, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's why all the announcers on TV, the Johnny Miller types, always they see a slope with a ball above the feet, and the first thing they say is, "Uh-oh, ball's going to go left." That's if the player doesn't make any adjustments.
Right.
But you know what? Those good players, they make the adjustment.
Yeah. And
so
that's,
that way they can control where the ball goes.
That's also something that the amateur golfer needs to keep in mind, because we have enough challenges as it is, making par or bogey. A lot of times we're scrambling at the end, hoping to make, this fantastic 12-foot putt for bogey. I hate that.
Yeah.
I made a fantastic 1 putt for a bogey. Hey.
That's great.
But the thing of it is that we don't, I don't want to say don't pay attention, but maybe we don't understand all of the influences around us on any given shot. Wind being just one of them. And a lot of times, again, if you can't feel the wind, you don't pay attention to it. A simple look up into the sky and notice the tops of the trees around you can let you know if there is more wind above you than there is at ground level. You need to take that into consideration. The direction of it, you need to take into consideration. The type of lie you have, you need to take into consideration.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there. The lie is something that I talk a lot about when I go to the golf course with a student, and we'll throw a ball in a certain situation. I'm like, all right, what's the first obstacle you have to overcome here to make this shot successful? First obstacle, and they're looking way down the fairway. I'm like, well, take a look. There's a whole clump of grass right behind your golf ball.
Yeah.
Isn't that the first obstacle you're going to have to go overcome?
Because it's going to be between the club face and the ball, man.
Yeah, because you need to know if you can get a club on the back of that thing or not.
Right.
That's the first obstacle. The next obstacle is right out in front of the ball. Like if it's in thick rough, you have a problem with the grass behind it and the grass in front of it. So you got to take a club that's got a lot of loft. Otherwise, it's not going to cut down through the grass behind it, and it's not going to launch the ball up high enough to get it over the grass in front of it. And a lot of people just sit there and go, okay, I'm 185 yards out of the way. I'm going to pull out this 5-iron. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's 185 yards away. I'm like, okay, you're going to hit it about 30. And they look at me like, what? So no, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. 5-iron out of the thick rough.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Yeah. There are times when you have to admit to yourself that you don't have a shot that's going to get you where you need to go.
Grass is the biggest thing that slows down clubs.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think that. Like, oh, it's just grass.
Yeah.
Say that in a thick, dense grass in the springtime. See how that plays.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if it's the dry, wispy grass in September because it hasn't rained in an awful long time and the whole ground is parched, okay. I think maybe you could do that. But, how do you figure that out? You take a practice swing.
Yeah.
In the similar looking grass.
Yeah.
Find out how much resistance is really there. And if you start to feel some, you probably better go toward a higher lofted club so it'll cut down through it. But here's the simple thing about this, John. When they pay attention in these playing lessons that I give them, I'm like, okay, do you really think you've got a club that can cut through the back of this grass, launch a ball up on top of this grass right in front, and still fly 185 yards? Do you have that club in your bag? And they're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so now that's a 2-shot scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, which 2 shots do you want it to be? I like easy and easy.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
If it's 185 yards, I can do it with 2 wedges. wedge it out, wedge it on. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's two easy ones. But, they always seem to take the hard one first and then make the second one harder.
Yeah, because they have to make
They
up
go,
for
I'm going to get this 5-iron through there,
for
which is
screwing.
hard. Then they hit it about 30 yards and they're still in the rough. Now they're 150-yard shot in the rough.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Now they're trying to crank their 7-iron out because, that's the 150-yard club.
Right. According to the chart that we carry with us.
According to the chart, you know what? And that's their 150-yard club. Guess what? It didn't come out at 150 yards, and now they're chipping. Now it's a 3-shot hole.
Yeah.
3-shot scenario, right? Those are the big mistakes that golfers make.
Yeah. I mean, it's a question of playing within yourself. Maybe it's a question of taking the chart and throwing it away, not taking it with you, but creating your own chart where you know how far you hit a 7-iron. It's not going to, it shouldn't embarrass you if you hit a 7-iron 130 yards. If your 7-iron's a 130-yard club, own it and use it. Use it wisely. I play with some guys, man, who pull out a 3 and 4 hybrid, anything over 150 yards, because they know that they can't hit any of their irons farther than 150 yards.
I think it's pretty important for people to know themselves like that, right? To say, what am I capable of doing and what's predictable? What can I really do?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of your chart, right?
Yeah.
I like to tell people, look, it's like having your own personal par too.
Yeah.
What should I be making on this hole?
Right.
I'm an amateur golfer. I don't play very much golf. Jeff, help me out, figure out what I ought to be doing on the golf course. First, throw out the idea that scorecard par is for anybody. And I tell them who par is made for. It's made for the expert golfer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So a par on a hole is essentially they give you 2 putts on every green.
Right.
And they give you how many strokes outside of that based on the distance of the hole to get it to the green. And how many people actually do that? Out of 10 times in a row, if a 400-yard par 4, an expert player is the guy who's going to get it onto that green 10 times out of 10.
Right.
At 400 yards.
Yep.
It's a par 4. But the average guy, 15 handicapper to 20 handicapper, is not going to get it on that green 10 times. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So if that guy has 2 putts every green, he's going to get it on maybe 30% of the time on a 400-yard par 4. Now, all of a sudden, that's for him, that's a par 5.
Right. And create par 6s and par 7s if you need to.
Uh-huh.
Because you want to enjoy the game. You don't want to be frustrated continuously because it's set up and scored for people who are substantially better than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think that right there is, I think if they took the words par off of it and just put the yardage of the hole on the yard arms and on the scorecards, and then people just played, they would say, oh, okay, this is different.
Right. Suddenly, it would be more fun.
Yeah, it'd be easier, right? You wouldn't hold yourself to some arbitrary standard that you're not going to get to.
Yeah. Yeah, when you hold yourself to a standard set by somebody who you will never measure up to, that's just frustration waiting to happen. So don't do it. Don't do it. Create your own, create your own idea of what par is. Create your own shot chart in your head. Know what you can do and stay within yourself. And above all, pay attention to what's going on around you. We got more. We'll be right back. We are those Weekend Golf Guys. Hey, you want to know how great a golf instructor Jeff Smith really is? Very simple. Just go to jeffsmithgolfinstruction.com. jeffsmithgolfinstruction.com. The PGA Tour is back. We have a full weekend of golf ahead of us. And even though the trophy is reserved for the winner, there are some big cash prizes that don't go just to players. They can go to you. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy game of the PGA Tour, has added to the excitement by putting you in the center of the action with a free shot at a $1 million top prize with your first deposit. It's easy to play. All you do is pick 6 golfers, stay under the salary cap, submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday, then you sit back and follow the action. You're going to get points for pars, for birdies, for finishing position, and a whole lot more. And remember, $1 million up for grabs at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app right now. Use the promo code WEEKEND to get a free shot at the $1 million top prize with your first deposit. Promo code is WEEKEND. free shot at $1 million with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Deposit bonus requires a 25x playthrough. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. All right, so a few moments yet together to recap. I'm John Ashton. He is Seth Smith, by the way. You're going to play a better game of golf next time you go out because, one, your expectations are going to be lowered. Is that safe to say? Your expectations are going to be lowered. Not that you're saying, well, I'm not going to play as well as I want to, but what you're going to say is the way I play is, how should I put it? I'm playing a game that may be a little bit different than the game that they set up this course to play. I'm going to look at this hole, and I'm going to know that there's no way in hell I'm going to get to that green in 3 because it's 537 yards away. And unless I hit 3 of the best shots in a row I've ever hit in my life, I ain't going to get there. So maybe par for me would be 6. Maybe I'd be happy to get a 7 on that hole.
This brings me to how I like to help people play. I give them a shot quality scale and a strike quality scale. Go, how did I play today? Instead of some arbitrary number that they can be depressed about, how about how many shots did I strike today and how many shots did I strike well? And look at them as a percentage of success. And that is so much more fun. And it is such a more enjoyable thing because what I have learned from so many of my students is that they judge themselves on their performance by how well they hit the ball. They come in and tell me exciting stuff like, man, I hit it great today. I didn't score so well because I putted like crap, but boy, I hit it really good. Mm-hmm. And they dismiss the score and the putting so quickly because they don't view golf as the emotional part of golf is about the strike. Why is it that so many golf professionals who teach people to hit a golf ball better, they're really successful? Because they're hitting on the emotional part of golf. If you drive the ball really well, people are all pumped up.
Yeah.
If you strike your irons well, it feels good and you're pumped up.
Yeah. And the other thing that psychologically goes along with this is if you are no longer forcing yourself to play up to someone else's arbitrary standards, you are no longer getting tense when you find yourself not doing it. Therefore, you will be more relaxed, which will lead to you hitting better shots all across the board, which will lead to you scoring better and getting to a point where when you don't care, you can actually score up to somebody else's arbitrary standards.
I agree. I think that's a
bottom line. It here is that the biggest mistake golfers make is taking this game too seriously.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah, that is for sure.
JeffSmithGolfInstruction.com is a really nice website to go to get some tips, some techniques, figure out what's going on with your game. ThoseWeekendGolfGuys.com. Every time you miss an episode, you can catch them there. Facebook.com/golfguys. Go there and follow us, like us, and be back next week and listen some more. All right? So until that time, get your own personal chart, figure out what the lofts are of your clubs, and go play some golf. For our bonus content this week, we go back 2 years to this weekend in 2018 with an episode that we called Weed Makes Golf Better. And we have conversation with famed golf course architect Bobby Weed. And welcome back. Those are, whatever. Those Weekend Golf Guys. I throw the words out. You put them in whatever order seems to work for you correctly, and everything will be fine. John Ashton here in studio. Jeff Smith at Sagamore up in Noblesville, Indiana. He will be jumping in and joining us shortly as soon as whoever he's got on the practice tee is sufficiently improved. On the line with us, we are so pleased to have Bobby Weed, who is one of the premier golf architects in the world. And Bobby, first off, thank you for joining us here on Those Weekend Golf Guys. How you doing today? You working hard?
I am, John. Thanks for having me. And I'm down in South Florida, and where we've been getting a little too much rain, but we're plugging along and working every day, and life is good. Yeah, you're down in South Florida designing and building a golf course for Michael Jordan. That's got to be a tough gig. We are. It's a great assignment. We're in Hope Sound, just above Jupiter, Florida, where quite a few of the tour pros are now taking up residence and living and playing down here. We've got some great golf courses down here, and we are working on another golf club. It'll be a private members invitation only club that Michael Jordan is going to be the owner and is involved, and spending quite a bit of time out here with him. He comes out fairly frequently and very much involved in every aspect of what we're doing. It's hard to find someone more passionate than MJ. He loves the game, and ideal day for him would be to play 36 holes, and would do it every day.
Yeah,
if he has a chance.
Now, Bobby, you started your career as an apprentice to Pete Dye, who's a name that everybody recognizes in the golf world. We have played often at the Pete Dye course up in French Lick, Indiana. And they have a statue of him out front of the clubhouse, and on it is a quote that says, "Golf is not a fair game. Why should I design a fair golf course?"
Well, truer words have never been spoken, that's for sure.
Do you subscribe to that theory?
Well, I think we all do to some degree. I mean, the game of golf is not easy. It's not an easy game.
No, it's
and
not.
I think what our charge is today is really try to build some more fun, interesting golf courses. The caliber of golfers today is so dynamic and different than ever before. I mean, the range of golfers is greater than ever, and designing and building a golf course today, you really want to understand who you're building a golf course for. It's different when I was with the PGA Tour, building these tournament player club courses, because you're building those kind of golf courses for tour events, and you have to accommodate the best players in the world.
Right.
But at the same time, you need to accommodate the folks that are playing the golf course 51 weeks of the year. So I think therein lies the new challenge for us as architects to be able to build golf courses that that can serve up a challenge for higher handicappers and beginning golfers all the way down to the best players in the world. And that's not an easy task. It's pretty easy to build a hard golf course.
Right.
I think it's much more difficult, much more challenging to build a golf course that's playable and user-friendly for all caliber of golfers.
Yeah, you want it to be challenging on one hand, but you don't want it to be punitive on the other for those, millions of us that are not the best golfers in the world.
Like Pete Dye used to always tell me, once you leave, because, I always hear people say, well, that area over there is not in play, or this area is not in play. And Pete always had a comeback and quickly would remind everybody that, hey, when you leave the tee, it's all in play.
That explains a lot about French Lick's layout, that's for sure. When you look at a piece of land, how easy is it to see a golf course there just before anything happens?
Well, there's a lot of layers. I mean, we typically start out with some good topographic maps, some good aerial photography of the site. You really want to understand the opportunities and the constraints on the property. We're always very interested in knowing how to get the water off the property, where the outfalls are, where we can get rid of water, where the drains are, and kind of work from there. So, it's a little bit of a process of elimination. You understand your roadways, your access points, the vegetation, the topo, if there is any. Here in Florida, there's not as much as you have in Indiana and some other areas like where you are in Louisville. But you really just get out on the property and understand all the opportunities and constraints and work from there and understand, from your ownership group, really what you're trying to build a golf course for, and who you're building the golf course for, most importantly, I think. So after that, you're just kind of playing with some routing plans and trying to get some good orientation that has some diversity and understanding the wind conditions and the seasonal weather patterns and conditions. Because like here in Florida, particularly in South Florida, in the summertime, the prevailing wind is going to be pretty much out of the south and southeast. And then in the wintertime, which is typically your season down here for most of your play, it's coming out of the north and northeast and sometimes northwest. So you have to take all of that in consideration during the design process. And it's good to get as many holes as you can in different directions whenever possible. And it depends on the site constraints and how much property you have to work with. And there are a lot of variables that go into it.
Have there been any major projects that, I guess the question is, have you turned down? I mean, you look at who you're building for and where they want to build and what they want to do, and you just have to say, I'm sorry, but it's not possible?
Oh, I think there have been some of those on occasions where it just didn't make economic sense, or it was going to be a failure from the very beginning, based on site constraints or not enough property. There are a lot of factors that go into it, but typically there are two questions that I always want to ask early on. How are you funding the project, and do you own the property? And pretty basic, simple questions. And understanding the ownership, whether it be a single owner or group or corporation, I think is very important, because in our business, particularly as a golf course architect, we're developing relationships. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to enjoy the ownership. I want to enjoy building something that's going to be there for a long time. And I want to build something and design a golf course that's going to be successful as well and be enjoyed by whoever's playing it, whether it be a municipal golf course, private resort, daily fee. It doesn't really matter. I want it to be successful as everyone does.
All right, Mr. Jeff is here, I believe.
I have finally made it.
All righty, sir. This whole teaching golf up in Indiana can get to be a chore sometimes, but Bobby Weed is with us here.
It is. Hey, that's great. Hi, Bobby. Thanks for joining our show.
Hey, Jeff. You bet. Good to be here.
Or maybe it's just the other way around. How about me joining your show? That's the way it worked out today, right?
That's right.
That's right.
All right, so listen,
Bobby,
I've been talking to
Go
Bobby
ahead.
from the standpoint of being a bad amateur golfer, but he needs to get some questions from a PGA professional about golf course design. I'm sure you have more insight into it than do I.
No, I just have different questions.
Okay, whatever.
All right, so Bobby, let's think about this from when you get a handle on, somebody hires you and they say, we want you to build a golf course or redesign our golf course so that it is a little bit more challenging to the better players and yet still friendly to the regular guy. Does that not cause a lot of consternation in your head?
Well, it's certainly a challenge, without question, Jeff. As I was mentioning to John earlier, I mean, first thing we want to do, we want to understand who's playing the golf course, and or who are we building a golf course for. So I think that's important. But it's much more difficult today than ever before building a course to challenge caliber players like yourself and the tour pros. Versus John and higher handicappers and even beginning golfers, because, we still need to introduce new folks to the game. Therein lies the challenge of trying to build a fun and interesting golf course. But at the same time, knowing that, you're going to be hosting some qualifying events, or you're going to be hosting some sectional events or even a tour event, some amateur type events. So, I mean, it's important to understand those goals and objectives on the front end so that you can dial that in during the design process.
How did you know my game so well so that you can look at a golf course and say, well, this is where John's going to hit his tee shot. Let's put a sand trap there.
Well, we're actually just, those bunkers are, while you may look at them as hazards, but they truly do add interest to a golf course, and they make every golf course unique and interesting. And, it's just part of the navigation process of playing around the golf. Right. And tacking your way around hole by hole, and, knowing when you can, how far you can fly the ball, and that's the mental side and the physical side of the game that should have an equal balance that we're always working on. That you can play and enjoy and get around, and also be a challenge for the tour players. Nobody likes to go out and lose 3, 4, 5, 6 balls around. That's a bit of a turnoff. So, and force carries, I think you have to be a little conscious on force carries. You can create some really challenging golf holes and pin placements without being overly penal, and finding ways for people to get to the green. Alice Dye used to always say, try to minimize your force carries, and the 90% of the people play the game on the ground. So don't forget the fact that the majority of the people play the ball on the ground, and I think you should take that in consideration when you're building hazards, because putting hazards in front of a green really doesn't bother a good golfer.
No.
Because they're playing the ball in the air.
Right.
And but it means everything to a higher handicap golfer trying to get to the green.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.